Is that time?
It's showtime.
Showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pillow Politics. And we have a great show for you. And I'm Attorney Roy Miller.
I'm Linda Miller.
And I'm Stacy Jenkins. And don't forget to email us at pillowpolitics@gmail.com. Visit us at Facebook. And we also now have a new Instagram page.
All right.
Excellent.
All right. That's great. That's great. Because you know what we always say, that if it's hot, you would find it being discussed right here on Pillow Politics.
That's right.
You're darn right.
That's right.
Well, we have, the hot stories of the week. One that I was looking at in Black Enterprise, one of my favorite magazines, by Yolanda Branch, August 9th, 2022. Mississippi Highway Patrolman physically assaulting handcuffed black man. Now, it shows where Eugene Lewis was handcuffed and his brothers Packer and Darius Lewis were videotaping with their phone.
Packer?
One of them with the phone of what was going on. That's right.
You said Packer?
Packer, that's the first name.
No.
Now, you can hear, as reported on the video, audio, we looking at you choke the man, but we gonna stay back and record you. We want to know why you was in a car jumping on him. We don't give a damn. You was just in the back seat beating him up, they said to the officer. Now, why would the officer feel like he has to be a handcuffed man?
Here we go again.
My boy is a good boy. He don't do things like that. When he was in there robbing that store or whatever he was doing, somebody else was doing that. I'm just kidding people. I don't know what's the story behind that. I don't know what's the story behind that. But as Stacy was just about to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, here we go again, another police officer. This is alleged because we still have to see the full video of what happened.
All right.
But to me, even if the officer looked like he was mishandling the person that he had handcuffed, okay, it still is suspect because maybe he wasn't handling him that way. Maybe he was just struggling to detain the guy. But what makes it bad on his part, and also the other officer that arrived later on that he called for backup, what makes it look suspect is that you grabbed your firearm several times and you threatened the two brothers that were taking the video of him.
Did the policeman
grab
his firearm?
Yeah, he grabbed his firearm, and then even when the second police officer came and tried to help the first police officer, the first thing he did was take his firearm out and threaten the two guys that were just simply taking video of what the first officer was doing. See, that to me makes you look like a bad cop.
Yeah, that is.
And we only can go by what we see, and it looks bad from what we can see. And it kind of reminds me of an incident that happened in Atlanta this week in the park. In one of the parks, it was after hours, and the officer caught two people, male, female. They looked like they were about in their 30s in the park, and he ended up wrestling the lady to the ground.
And even that.
What made him do that? Did she resist or something? Or
so when they pulled up, and you have to go to read the sources of the stories that we're talking. So the police officer saw this black couple. He was a black officer himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
He saw this couple standing in the park after hours, and he told them that they're in the park is closed, it's after hours. The couple said, well, we're out of town, so we didn't know. Okay. Well, the officer asked for both of their IDs. They complied with them. And then I guess he ran their IDs, nothing came back. And so he came back to them and said, well, I'm going to give you 2 citations, right? Not warnings, but citations. Well, she felt as if, why are you giving me a citation? Because I obviously told you that we were just from out of town. Now, that is to dispute in a court of law.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
you take that up with the judge. He gave
That's
you the
right.
citation.
That's right.
Now, what happened, what really made the national news was this. So she went back to the car, got her phone. First of all, she should have never went back to
She
her
would have
car.
never gone back. When a police officer tells you, is talking to you, you don't just leave. You
Right.
ask, can I go to my car?
Right. She may have been nervous or whatever,
Yeah.
heightened sense of, but went back to her car. Then she started to interrogate the officer, asking him for his name, his badge number and all of that. And so he said, he asked both of them to sign the citation. Her male friend signed the citation, which she did. She wanted to know, why am I giving this citation? Well, then she decided to write it. She decided to sign it, but after he said, I'm gonna arrest you now. It seemed as if, because the way she asked him about his name and his badge number, it seemed as if it kind of bruised his ego, and that could have possibly motivated him to move it to the next level of wanting to detain her. This is where it gets bad. So to me, even all the way up until that moment, the officer was not out of his rights to do what he did. But then when you wrestle a woman and she's asking you, why are you detaining me? As an American citizen, you can't just be putting handcuffs on people without giving them a valid reason for their arrest. That's what she asked for. That's why they were wrestling, and that's why it made national news.
He should have told, because usually when you write a citation, the arresting or the officer that's writing that citation, his name and his badge number's on there.
Oh, true.
So what she should have done was just, get the information from them
Right.
once he give it to her. I think the whole thing just was blown all out.
Yeah.
I
You
would
didn't have to
probably,
go there.
and I would probably say to young people, if you're in a situation like that in the park, and the police comes and you're there, and he said he want to write a citation, let him write a citation. Don't argue. Don't argue. If that is not a smart thing to do. And so many times, things can escalate because we have police officers that mean well. We have some that don't mean well. But it's always good to just show the respect, and if because you can always challenge a ticket or a citation, and even report the officer.
It's so dangerous now. It's so much is going on, and there again, you don't know what's really going through.
Right.
What they've gone through for that day.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting vote
And I
that
agree
we
with
talked
you.
about.
Get home alive. Get
Yeah.
home
That's right.
not having to be booked and going to jail. That's expensive. That is time consuming. That goes on your record. And then you're gonna have to fight a ticket plus your name and your just go home.
Just
They
go.
used to have civic classes.
Yeah,
They
right.
used to
That
have-
covered a lot
I
of
don't think
what
they
you
don't
should
have
do.
that anymore now, do they?
No.
And that's what they need to. That's exactly what they need to. So young people can know how to respond to things like this. And also, it would not hurt for the law enforcement to have classes like that too. So they will know how to speak to young people.
And I did say that too. I suggested that when I watched the video, I said that even looking at the officer's demeanor and how he responded to her escalating the questions of what is your badge number and what is your name, it started to make him it looked like he started feeling a little bit demeaned by what she was saying.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to mature. They definitely need to give more
They
classes.
They do because she do not need to respect him.
Yeah.
I mean, to disrespect him.
Disrespect
I'm
him,
sorry.
right.
She do not need to disrespect him. And same thing for him. He needs to give her respect as well.
And I'll tell you what, when an officer tells you to do something and you don't do it, that can be obstruction charge.
Sure could. That's right.
So it's a good thing to just go ahead and see if an officer says, will you sign this? You don't have to sign it. But he's already told you that he has the authority to arrest you. If you don't sign it, then accept that and say, well, okay, take me in or sign it, because that still does not say you're innocent or guilty. You still get the opportunity to go and defend yourself in court.
And plus, it's a standard policy when an officer approaches you. That's the first thing want to see. Want to see your identification.
Yeah.
So that's not
Yeah.
an insult for an officer to ask
Right.
for
But you know, looking at it both ways, I think that they should have respected the officer more. At least she should have. And on the other hand, it's kind of like in the we talked about the man that fought the lady in the airport. That an officer should use your better discretion on how he handles a female.
That's right.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, that was really, that was not a good move on
Not
his
a good
end.
move
Especially when
at
she didn't
all.
have a weapon. Both of them clearly did not have a weapon. And she didn't present any imminent threat to him, you know, except for the moment she moved back to her car. But even then, when she came back and he saw that it was just her cell phone, it was like that heightened sense of heightened sense of being disrespected, feeling disrespected on both ends.
Yeah, I mean you make good points.
When I first started, this is a story I probably told Roy a million times, but when I first started driving, I was downtown and I went down a one-way street.
Okay.
Broke the law.
I ran through a stop sign.
Oh, okay.
We talking about who should go in our post office prison. I'm making a note. Come
Look
on.
at, I felt so bad.
Right.
I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
That I actually went and found a policeman and told him what I did.
Oh.
And you know what he told me? He
What?
said, all right. He said, don't do it no more. I said, but I also ran a stop sign. He said that. I'm trying to get home.
Okay.
Just don't do it no
No
more.
more, right.
He was trying to deny it.
Yeah. So that made me, like that they aren't bad people.
Right. No,
they're
not all
not
cops are
people.
bad.
I would tell my clients that judges and police officers are people. You know, most are decent people. And how you treat them many times will be how they treat you.
Yeah.
That's right.
When you
Absolutely.
treat people with respect, most of the time they're going to give respect in return. They have the discretion, just like a judge, of slamming you or letting you off as easy as is possible. And the way you respect people makes a big difference, because people must realize police officers still, they have, they don't like being disrespected. Just like if your mom and dad ask you to turn off that television, you say, oh, I want anything. Yo, you get slapped.
Oh yeah.
Dad will probably hit you side the head.
Oh yeah.
So, just try to be both ways.
That's right.
Respectful.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
So they're always saying defund the police. Do you agree that they actually need to do the opposite? They need to fund the police even more.
They do.
Like
They
technology
need
and
it's
education.
more education. And,
Yeah.
Because when something
Education,
when something goes wrong, who's the first that we pick up and call?
Yeah, we need
Who's
police.
the first? That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And just imagine you come in and somebody has robbed your house,
Yeah.
and your car's sitting up on those big cylinder blocks and
Yeah.
everything, and there's nobody to
Yeah,
call.
That's right.
because, a lot of times I feel that society now, because people are going on the edge and doing anything goes, they really want a lawless town. And to do any and everything.
back in
So
the Wild West.
we need law
Yeah.
enforcement. We need to somehow keep crime
Civilization.
down and keep
Oh, yeah.
limit
Yes.
what people
Right.
do.
We do.
Yeah, because we live here in the southeast, and not too far from Atlanta, but even our city has seen a major increase in crime
Yeah.
and homicide.
Yeah.
But just in comparison to like Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Seattle. I mean, some of these places, like you said, they're becoming lawless.
They are.
Yeah.
And police officers really need to be funded even more.
They do.
Yeah.
to
They
give them the
do.
tools
No doubt
to
about it.
handle.
If we said there's no police department right now before we go to bed,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, that would be like, you ever seen when there's a riot and people breaking into buildings,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it'd be free for all.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of good people, but we have bad people too.
We do.
And we need a police department, but we need one that's fair
Yeah.
Mhm.
to everybody.
That's right.
And try to do the right thing.
So
Mhm.
education.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's
More
what we
funding.
need.
Yeah.
That's right.
More fun. We want to move on to another topic,
Mhm.
and that is regarding Emmitt Till.
Oh.
Now on WSB News Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
was saying that Emmitt Till, regarding Emmitt Till, the grand jury fails to indict woman whose accusation led to lynching.
Mm.
Now the lady name that they're talking about that they did not indict, her name is Carol Bryant Dunham.
Yep. Mhm.
That would make her around 88 today.
Yeah. Yeah. 88. Mhm.
88 years old. Yeah.
This- Now, okay, and I know some people are asking themselves this.
Mhm.
She could have been indicted. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that Bill Cosby could have been indicted, and he was indicted.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Absolutely none.
I mean, he's near 80.
Absolutely. And
Well,
statute of limitations should have
didn't
been
kill
seen.
anybody. He didn't kill
Right.
anybody.
And you know, of
That's a
course,
great question.
I mean, that's a question that I was asking, even if she was put on probation,
Mm-hmm.
even if she was, but to show that there was some recognition that she did
Yes.
wrong, just like it was terrible of the accusations against
Right.
Bill Cosby.
Right.
And Emmitt Till had more of an impact
Mm-hmm.
on society and race relations than Bill Cosby ever will.
And he was a child. He was a minor
What, 14 years
when
old?
they
Yeah.
killed him.
His mother did the right thing when she said, "Don't close that coffin.
That's
Let
right.
the world see
Don't fix him up.
what they did to my son."
That's right.
Yeah, and that is so sad because people can lie
Mm-hmm.
and cause other people
Mhm.
to go to prison and
Mhm.
die.
And this is such a history of that has happened over the years. Unfortunately, it's been someone just like Carolyn Bryant Dunham. Same thing happened with the Tulsa massacre,
Yeah.
where a woman said in an elevator that
Yeah.
a black man
Mhm.
approached her,
Mhm.
and allegedly he had came on to her
Mhm.
and it sent groups of white men to come in and to ravage a town and to
Mhm.
kill hundreds and hundreds of people. They still haven't unearthed all of the bodies
No,
from
they haven't. They
the
haven't.
Tulsa
Uh-huh.
massacre.
And this is what I want to ask, and I'm asking the people that our viewers out there.
Hmm.
Do you see what happened with Bill Cosby and what he was accused of being worse than what Carolyn Bryant Dunham was accused of with Emmitt Till? I just wanted to because I'm trying to understand why is it that some people can understand and say she should not have been indicted, but they
Right.
felt so certain that
Right.
what Bill Cosby did was worth being indicted and sent to prison. And I think that's a bad message.
What I think too, I would love to know who was on that grand jury.
Yeah, I mean
That's- I would
that's a
love
bad
to
message
know.
because I think it should have been sent even if they had indicted her and never sent her to prison. That would have been better than to
Better.
say, well, Emmitt Till's one that the whole world seemed to agree that was just horrible. What happened to
Right.
him
Mhm.
is almost like Emmitt Till is not that serious.
And even now, when someone is sentenced,
Mhm.
the courts even block you from making money
Mhm.
from your
Yeah.
victim.
That's
yeah,
right.
usually.
She was able to make a memoir.
Yeah,
So it's
you-
like she's continuously
Yeah.
victimizing this boy's
But you
family.
know, it has always been a double standard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you an example. What took place on January the 6th.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Out of all
Absolutely.
of that was going on, the people attacking the Capitol and all of that, one guy got, I think it was between 6 and 10 years,
Wow.
according to the AP.
Oh, yeah, okay, I saw
News.
that.
Okay. And it turns out, I was so surprised to find out he was a black guy.
Wow.
Right, and people say, okay, how is it that some people were let off with no jail time,
No jail time.
or just small slap on the
A
hand?
slap on the hand.
And,
Yeah.
But something about him, I guess the
Mhm.
way he looked,
Yeah.
that you say, hey, we really need to punish So there are double standards, and it's so unfortunate because it doesn't make America better.
It doesn't. But then that's why you have to be careful. That's why parents have to raise their kids, especially the boys. You've got to be careful because you can get yourself into situations that mom and dad can't get you out.
Cannot get you out of.
Yeah.
Make sure you make wise choices on your friends, and to be aware of your surroundings and everybody.
Absolutely.
That's, and you can't, and I hate to say this, but even historically, you see a lot of these young black guys that go off to like college football, college basketball, pro. They think that they can play the same way that their white counterparts can play.
Yeah.
And so it has proven bad for them in the future, because a lot of times where their white counterparts, their parents may have the money and the legal defense to get them out of these situations they got themselves into. The black kids, a lot of times, they don't. And so you end up losing your scholarship, you end up getting kicked out of school, you end up going to have to serve time, and it's like,
that's your whole career right there.
Yeah.
Your opportunity.
You gotta.
Sometimes it doesn't come back again.
Yeah.
A lot of times, we try to share wisdom with young people.
We do.
Many times, young people don't want to listen, but we only tell them things to try for them to prevent tragedy.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't lead them anywhere wrong.
Oh, no.
We only try to help them. So you have to be conscious of the streets you walk,
That's right.
and the neighborhoods. You need to know. You need to know even before you go into a nightclub. Is this a bad nightclub, a fighting nightclub?
That's right.
And many times, is this a racist nightclub?
That's
You need. Those are things that young people need to know.
And parents need to stay on your kids.
Yes.
You need to be home at a certain hour. Where are you
Right.
going? Know their friends. Know where they're going.
That's right.
Yeah, because trouble is just right around the corner.
Yeah. And we have advanced as a nation, but we still have so far to go.
We do.
And
Yes.
with civil rights just passing in 1965, that really isn't that too far
No.
long ago.
Not long
But
ago at all.
a lot of our children think, oh, we've arrived. Oh, it's not like that anymore. And, my friends, they see me the same. They don't even see color. Listen, it's always best to be aware of your surroundings, to know that evil still exists.
It still exists, and the thing about it, you just have to be careful and cautious. We got good people of
We do.
all races, and we got bad people of all races.
We do.
Yeah.
We try to teach each other from experience and wisdom, because sometimes it's predictable when we tell somebody don't go there. We already know that
Don't
that's
go.
not a safe place to go, or to not hang around certain people. There are a lot of good people, but young people just can't take for granted that everybody's going to treat them with their best interests at heart. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So I want to move on to a different topic, and it's about the rise of single black men. And I think you guys may have a lot to say about that.
There's a whole lot. That's a whole series by itself.
Let's just open the door a little bit, Stacey, and get it kicked off a little bit.
Yeah. So the article that was written about this is really, really good. It was an article found in Psychology Today, August the 9th of this year.
All right.
And we'll have, actually the article will be on our Facebook page too, so you can refer back to that. And the article is titled "The Rise of the Lonely Single Men."
Okay.
And the subtitle of it is "Dating Apps and a Drastically Changing Relationship Landscape." That's the subtitle. So the points that were brought up in this article was dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as healthy relationship standards increase. Now, they didn't specifically say this was towards black women or white women or black men or white men. However, the undertone of the article was speaking more so to the black female and black male heterosexuals. it also stated that 62% of the apps are actually being, like dating apps, are
Mhm.
actually being used by men. That's a lot, 62%.
It is.
And then it says so many of them are on these apps now, several apps at one time, that because so many of them are on there at one time, they're actually diminishing their own chances and opportunities of meeting women.
Wow.
So they said standards are being increased for women, which is true.
Mhm.
You know, especially for black women, we know that black women are one of the fastest rising populations of educated women in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That we're rising very rapidly in executive positions. We have a new vice president that's a woman of color. Ketanji Brown is the new Supreme Court justice, who's an African American woman. Michelle Obama, who was the first lady, first African American female. I mean, we see great examples of what we can achieve and what we can excel to. And so now we're starting to expect more from our mates. And for the first time, unfortunately, more of our men that are in our community are more incarcerated, unfortunately, or they're not wanting to
Do anything.
Be in that household, raising the children, or a lot of them are dating outside of their race and marrying outside of their race. And so we're not accepting that anymore. We're also experiencing love in other groups of people, you know, because they can do it, we can do it too.
Yeah, that's true.
So what y'all think?
So there are a lot of, then it goes right there, what you were saying, a lot of, I guess, lonely men, and specifically a single black man that's, you know, looking for love, you know.
On the internet.
Yeah, on the internet. And it's pretty interesting because some of the relationships on the internet, and I'm looking at some of the shows like, what 60 Day Fiance? What was that?
90 Day
90
Fiance.
Day Fiance.
Yeah.
Where people actually have relationships for years.
Yeah.
But when they meet each other, it ends.
Or married at first sight.
Oh, yes.
Where you don't even get to meet the person.
Yeah.
You meet them when you
Right
get married.
there.
Well, how is it then? How do you think people? What are people thinking when they say they've fallen in love online and they've been in love for years with this person that they've never met?
That's wow.
I think you were in love with with something that you created.
Okay.
You're right.
You know, a
You're
fantasy
right.
you created.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You, in your mind, you see this person as you want to see this person.
Yeah.
You know, in your mind.
You know, it's so much to consider.
But there's some go on and relationships work out real good.
Yeah.
Some go on and
Awesome percentage.
yeah, they get married, have a family, and just works out fine.
What will it take for the black man to be competitive again and to win the black woman?
The black man has got to get serious.
Oh,
And he's got to do some work on himself.
yes. It's, you know, it's unfortunate that Kevin Samuels, who was a social media influencer and had a lot of men that looked up to him, and his concept of being a high value man. Well, unfortunately, you had a large percentage of black men that actually listened to that doctrine. And then he died. Sadly, he died not even living up to half of what he was preaching to these guys. You know, telling them that just because you earn a certain dollar amount, that, you know, you should be able to marry this person, marry that person. And then at the same time, what was really even more detrimental in his doctrine was how badly he put down black women.
But you know, he wasn't married. He was divorced, right?
I think three times.
So what is that telling you about the information that he's giving out, the advice he's giving out to other people? His life is not even straightened out.
wasn't.
He's not even happy in his life. How can he give someone else?
Yeah, it seems as though he wasn't happy. You know, that's so. I do feel that, you know, as a black man, that we need to stop calling our queens B's, H's, and N words.
Yeah.
We need to cut that out. We are the only race that talk about our women like that.
That's
No other
because-
race does. And I know some ladies, even on social media, they love it. They even
Yeah,
have a song playing calling
Yeah.
them bees and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
No.
You know, that's like Coca-Cola coming on, belittling their own product. You know, that doesn't make you look taller.
No.
It won't help you get a job. Even better, that you want the world to know that you consider yourself
Yeah.
to be what a man called you. And men, I mean, that is,
And they get that
it
confused.
deserves me.
They get that confused as being a compliment.
Yeah.
You know, so it's horrible. It's terrible.
It is terrible.
And I'll say to a lady, don't take that off of a man. Don't let him speak to every other race in the world with respect, but look at you and say you a B-H or N-word, and you smile and you think that they said something nice.
I know.
When you just put yourself down to the ground. You know, I don't care how many degrees or how much money
Yeah.
you make. It doesn't make any difference.
And women stop saying it to each other. That's
That's
another
right.
culture.
That
Like
is,
you
that
see
is.
a lot of the
Yeah.
reality shows where they be this, be that, and it's like every other word is the B word.
That's
and
right.
They forget their names.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, and I predict this, that the future generation is going to despise what all the things that happened that made for the disrespect we have today that they see in our generations, and the black on black crime and all of this. They're going to despise those type personalities. And even though, and there are going to be a lot of ladies that are young and fine now, that's going to be mothers and grandmothers, and
Yeah.
their child or grandchild going to come up to them and say, Mom, look what my friend just showed me. Is that you?
Yeah.
And you know, by then she's going to be getting gray in her
Yeah.
hair and going to church.
Going
and
to church.
But she's got to deal with this. Then her granddaughter, grandmama, should I be like you?
Yeah.
Should I go take off my clothes? And the grandmama's going to say, oh no, baby.
Or what about when she's a mother
Yeah.
and she's
Right.
trying to be an example to her son?
Yeah.
You know, as
Yeah.
to what type of girls that he should be interested in.
Right. Right.
Future
And the
generations.
teasing that her son will probably take
Yeah.
off of, you know, when they find, well, like the young lady that was took her clothes off in front of the college.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of
Lord have
unbelievable
mercy.
because I remember growing up, even little kids, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, the teachers say to little girls, you better not let your dress up.
Yeah.
You better sit proper.
Oh yeah.
How is it do so many lose those lessons that even a second and third grader
They
need?
don't
Yeah.
consider it fitting in anymore. They don't consider it to be important.
I wonder if they teach their daughters that too. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
So, why is it that 62% of men are on these dating apps? And statistically, especially within our town, well, I don't know what the ratio is now, but the ratio about 10 years ago, it was 10 women for every one man here in our town in Georgia. So that means that the demographics of men are less than women. So men have more than their share of heterosexual men
They do.
have their share of picking a woman. Why do they still have to go through a dating app to pick someone that they work with, that they go to school with, that
Well,
they
you
go
know,
to church with? Why
Be-
can't they
because they
be
get-
authentically?
Because you know a lot of the information that they put out there about themselves, it's not true.
That's
You
true.
can make up anything and put anything there you want to.
Yes.
And it's so much easier to sit down there in your robe or nude or whatever and just say, I have nice head of hair.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, yeah. So it's too easy.
Yeah.
It's a game.
While I live in my mom's basement,
Mm-hmm.
I live in a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Yes,
I'm waiting for
yes.
my queen to come and live in it.
That's it.
And he lives in his mom's basement.
That's it. That's
You know,
absolutely it.
one thing I will say, hey, they're piling up on us, men. But a lot of what you were saying is absolutely
Oh, yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And really, I do feel that sometimes, when you see a person at 19, you expect that you don't see the same person when they're 49 or 59 or even 69.
Staying in their mom's basement.
You know what
Yeah.
but you think that they become wiser,
Yeah.
and they've grown. But and it's bad when you see
Yeah, they
people chasing.
They bought furniture for their basement.
For the basement.
Yeah, and trying to make it a.
Well,
They're still gaming at 45.
45.
Haven't changed,
Man.
but I think for some men, it takes longer than for others, and to realize that
So you.
it is better to have all at one than a little bit of a lot. And I think some
So you say it's taking men 50 and 60 into their 50 and 60 and 70. They're still growing up. They're still growing. Oh, I know what you're trying to say. You're saying that they're still trying to find themselves.
That's it.
Well, no,
That's it.
no.
Oh, you're not trying to say that
No,
either?
what I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, will someone come and
I'm trying to help him
join me
We're trying
at
to
the
help
table?
him out.
I'm being double teamed.
I'm trying to. Okay, I asked you if they are still trying to find themselves. You said no.
No, see, let me say this.
Okay.
There are so many reasons that families are not what they used to be. And we can go back to that. We can go all the way back to the black household before
Okay.
integration and say, and all of that, and all of that we had more morals, more values. We so many things have happened, but the results is, in my opinion, something happened to take away from the appreciation for love and for a good woman, because I think more often it's easier for a man to find a good woman than for a woman sometimes to find a man who will be loyal. But there are a lot of good men out there too.
Yeah.
Just like there are a lot of good women.
Yeah.
It is.
So
But so many of these good men, or even mediocre, just like our parents' generations, it wasn't that complicated.
Nope.
It's like we've made it so complicated now that we make all of these expectations of each other that we know that we can't fulfill, when all we have to do is just go back to the basics. Boy meets girl, girl meets boy, they fall in love, they still making babies. That hasn't stopped.
No, that hasn't stopped. You're right.
That's not complicated.
Right.
They know how to, men know how to do that. I bet you 62% of these men are fathers.
yeah. I mean, I went down
Bet you
there.
that.
And that's not taking care of
know,
I mean, if they stand in their mom's basement,
Right.
Ladies
they
and
can't be
gentlemen.
taking care of the
I
kids.
bet you 62% of them, maybe 42% stay in their mom's basement.
And I bet you, even though they have a place to stay, they don't pick up their kid to bring them to the basement
Nope,
to play
sure
with them.
won't.
They're angry.
They're
They're telling it.
See, that's a
They're
black-
letting it all
that's
out.
a trope.
Or
They're
Stacy,
telling it.
or Stacy, they won't share
Black
their,
women
they won't
angry
share
is
their
a trope.
games with them. They
No.
won't, they won't share their games with them.
And you know what? And it's like you see it's like it's so easy that even the animals know how to do it.
Yeah.
But we as humans, we fail at this thing called love, and it's not that complicated. But I think that we have these high expectations of each other that we cannot fulfill. Another thing that I see too, I think that a lot of men do not put accountability on each other anymore.
That's right.
There's not that brotherhood anymore.
It's not.
Where you better marry my sister. It's like, oh, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to touch that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's like, it's a mess. We got to get ourselves together.
We got to get ourselves together.
That's right.
Although I think there's enough blame to go around now. Now, ladies are not
Women are,
perfect.
if they, so
Stacey.
half of, what is half of, 100 from a 62% is what?
Stacy,
Huh?
how many of us are living in our mother's basement or our father's basement?
Hardly none. How many of us are full-time parents?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, ladies.
How many of us are ready to get married, especially for a first time, never gotten married? Like, I've been married before.
And how
But there's
many?
a lot of women especially black women, who've never been married before. They have never had the experience.
Never had that experience.
Yeah.
And how many of us do you see walking around with our tail showing, pants hanging down?
Pants on the ground.
Well, you're supposed to be standing up.
No, I'm here listening, but I'll tell you this. Let me just say this. There are a lot of men that are good men
Mm-hmm.
that can't get, it's not all the time, but can't get
Let us tell
ladies.
us.
Because many times,
Uh-huh.
sometimes,
Okay.
ladies would rather have a man that they know got 2 or 3 other ladies with babies out there, and then a nice guy that say, let me open the door for you, let me pull it, that treat them nice. Oh, you're a dove. You're a dove. I mean,
Okay.
there are a lot of good guys who don't even get a chance.
But those are immature girls, I would say.
Oh, but it happens all too often.
They haven't grown up. They don't know the value
Yes.
of a good man.
But look
Right.
look at who's being made millionaires and almost billionaires now, the Little Waynes and stuff, and their personalities, and their audience, great majority of their audience are females. They're the ones that's saying the B's, the H's, and how they will mistreat a lot of good guys. You know, there are a lot of
Lil
good
Wayne
ladies.
just
Well,
gets
see,
it
there
because
are a
he
lot
got
of-
money.
He has money.
Well,
If Lil Wayne didn't have any money and he was the average guy walking down the street looking just the way he's looking now,
Okay.
with his hair just the way it is now,
Smoked
his
out all
size
the
and
time.
everything
you'll
just the
get-
way it is
a
now.
Lil
How
Wayne
many
would
women
get-
you think will
oh.
run behind Lil Wayne?
Not many.
Flavor Flav say that now you see how many that came, and that's not saying anything
But,
because of
you know,
Money. It's
Okay.
still attached to money.
It was the green, Roy. It was
Yes.
the green that did it.
okay, that makes a difference. But a lot of good men who may not be making a lot of money, but they're good, they're decent, or they're going to church, or considered the dull guys, they won't get nearly it, even though they're a great more ladies than men. Those guys are probably going to be a lot of the one that's going to be lonely, and the guys that are messing around, it just so happens.
No, they're
The ones
not.
that are messing around and playing around are going to have more ladies than really they
Well,
have
you know,
time for. Even married. I'm talking even married guys.
Some women like bad boys. Some women like bad boys, but not a whole lot of women.
No,
like
not a
it.
whole
Not the
lot.
majority.
Mhm.
Well,
No.
And what you saw, you said the little the guys, the geeks type guys.
Mm-hmm.
That you said the women don't go for
I'm
them.
being honest now. I'm just being honest. Most times, you see some exceptions, but many times, being a guy and knowing guys, and a lot of guys that would tell you, especially professional, educated and stuff, their personalities are not the ones that will attract. That's not the one the ladies say, I want to get to know that guy.
Yeah, but later on in life, after this so-called quiet guy has gotten himself together, because people have to grow up, they have to experience things in life. Look at Bill Gates, and you can, he said he was a geek, and you can look at a whole bunch more other guys.
But a lot of nice guys will not be Bill Gates. They will not
Okay.
have money, but they're really nice and they're
But
decent.
what type of woman are they going after? Because you got, just like
That's right.
you got you got women that like bad boys. You got a lot of guys that like the bad girls too.
The cheerleaders.
They want to marry the strippers
That's
and
right.
Okay, and let me just say
flamboyant
this.
women and
Let me just say this.
yeah.
And I think what kind of hurts is if a man was climbing a mountain to get to a treasure on top, and he was climbing, but the lady on top threw the treasure down, don't you know he's going to stop climbing? He doesn't have to climb anymore. And so many times there are so many ladies that will throw that treasure down without the man even having to climb or earn to get all the way to the top.
Okay.
And I think that it makes it harder for the really decent, nice lady when there are so many. It's almost like there are so many others that will satisfy my lust that I go there.
And that's where you get confused.
And that's why
Yeah.
62% of them
That's right.
they're
That's where
getting laid, but they're not getting locked down with true love.
That's
With
right.
true
That's
love.
right. There's a difference
Yeah.
between falling in love and falling in lust.
Lust.
Boy, we gonna, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't know this
You sweat.
topic. Woo, I'm sweating. I didn't know it was gonna get this hot. I know that we talk about the hot topics, but I didn't know that I was going to be on the stove burner. It's hot. Woo. But
Don't worry, ladies, we
but
got
it's
you.
really many good considerations because I do know having sisters,
Yeah.
you know, and having just a great mom
All right.
and aunts. That there are a lot of good ladies.
Yeah.
And you know.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
there's a lot of good ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are a lot of men who don't respect ladies,
Yeah.
and they don't even try to romance them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, it's gotten to the point now where romance and all of that is supposed to be dull. That you don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, but somehow we got to get back to. You can like a person because of how they look, but you gotta love the inside of a person.
Absolutely.
You know, in order to really find a buried treasure, you gotta look beneath the ground.
That's
You
right.
can't go by what you see on top. And
That's
the
right.
same with people. You know, it is better and this is anything. When you have all of one, I don't care if it's a Coke or whatever before you pour water with it, but all of one is better than than a little bit of
I
a
understand what
lot.
you're saying.
Yeah.
And so many times guys can say, oh, I got 5 or 6 ladies.
Yeah.
You don't have any of all any of them.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
But what I don't like is to see a good wife at home
Mm-hmm.
and the guy's out on the streets, and so he's on the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And you can't be thinking straight. You've already found a treasure.
Right.
You found a treasure. You found what most people are looking for, or
That's
claim
right.
they're looking for.
That's right.
Why? You gotta be satisfied. You can't be greedy. You gotta be satisfied, and you gotta try to get that lady and treat her right.
That's right.
And that lady need to treat him.
You know, before we close out tonight, let's not forget about Eddie White and the that program that he's involved in. And
removing misdemeanors.
we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance. Everybody that needs that gets a chance to take advantage of that
Okay.
Yeah,
opportunity.
the Macon Warrant Clinic, Macon, Georgia, is coming on August the 27th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But you have to register, and you'll see the flyer and all the information on our Facebook page and also our Instagram page. You must register, answer 5 questions, and they will give the instructions on how to come to that location. You will not be arrested.
That's right.
It's a guarantee.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help a lot of people that's been trying to get stuff off their record.
Yeah.
And they've
I mean-
been filling out forms and going to the police
That's right.
department. It's going to help get misdemeanors off.
And don't have to pay anyone to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
So that's a good thing.
it's a good thing. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, I
now.
really enjoyed this. I gotta say, I'm burnt.
Well, you'll be all right.
You-
You're a big boy.
Right.
And I feel like a piece of bacon on the stove.
This is just
But-
the beginning.
But thank you.
And I'm still thinking about that chicken pot pie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, you don't need.
I'm hungry now. We
after-
worked up a good.
How you ladies treated me, you don't need a piece of chewing gum.
Well, you did good. You represented
You
for the men
represented
for the
well.
62%.
Ladies and gentlemen, we really enjoyed it, and
It is
please
the
subscribe
vibe.
to our YouTube page.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to build those numbers up.
Absolutely.
And whenever a hot story comes, you can guarantee on the spur of the moment, we will be telling you, we'll be getting it down, talking about the law, how it's going to impact you. So you want to subscribe so you'll get noticed
That's right.
ahead of everyone else
Yeah.
that we're about to come on
That's right. Because
with a special report.
you don't dare need to miss what you need to be hearing.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And don't forget to email us at pillowpolitics@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to hear. You want
Yeah.
to hear more topics about the 62% of single men.
We don't want to
on
hear that.
dating
No.
sites.
I think you've done enough for about 3 or 4 years.
Let us know.
Good.
We're all ears
Congratulations.
here.
Some people can't take the truth.
No, gosh, hot seat.
Maybe the next time. Maybe the next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I crawl out the back door, until next time, I'm Attorney Roy Miller.
I'm Linda Miller.
And I'm Stacy Jenkins. Good.
Good night, everybody.
Good one, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Good night. Thank
It
you
was
so
great.
much.
Say good night, Roy.
Good night.
All right.